Hello everyone and welcome back to Teaching with Tenia. It is officially the first day of Tecember, which means I am dropping a video every day this week, so you have to come back to my channel and stay tuned. Don't forget to click the subscribe button down below and turn on your notifications so you know when I drop the next video, which would be someday every day this week. So my special guest here, I'm starting off with a banger. Remy Elizabeth back again as a special guest on my channel. If you have not checked out our other video, you're missing out. So go and check the other video I put in the cards above. And we are on our Christmas spirit. We have our Christmas tree here. Well, it's Elizabeth. So let me tell you guys. In our room, when she came back home from visiting home, she had decorated our room with all this Christmas decorations. And I'm a December baby. My birthday's December 29th, just in case you didn't know. So I love it. We have our red and our Merry Christmas sign and our Christmas tree. So I hope you guys are in the Christmas spirit as well. And just to let you guys know on a little secret, we're filming this in November but it's Christmas time already, so let's get right into the video. We wanted to give you guys some tips and advice on how to be an educator in a public school setting, because we know sometimes you can't always express your faith as directly as in a Christian school. So we wanted to let you guys know the first thing is praying for your students. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I think it's really important that we as teachers pray for our students by name. And I know that might sound like a lot. We have 25 students in our class, but really just as you get to know your students, and you can bring their requests and your requests up to God, as it talks about in the Bible. And so really praying for your students by name, and then as you get to know them, you'll get to know what's going on at home, what's going on in school, so that way your relationship with your students can become stronger, and that God will become more centered in you, and that God will be the center of your classroom.
For sure. Another advice is to let them know that you support them, whether that's in school with their academic success or outside of school, whether it's their sporting events, and just letting them know that you care for them as a person and not just as a student in your classroom. One of my favorite stories to tell is that when I was in third grade, my third grade teacher came to my first basketball game, and that meant so much to me because I love basketball, so I started playing. I wasn't good at the time, but to know that she cared for me outside of the classroom meant so much.
Another piece of advice we have is filling yourself up. So as teachers, we're constantly investing and pouring out into our students. So it's really important that we're also taking care of ourselves and our relationship with God. And so making sure that you have your devotional time, reading the Bible, doing a Bible study, or just hanging out with Christian friends outside of school to really make Jesus the center of your faith is super important, so that you stay on track and you know why you're a teacher, and just really keeping God in your life.
That constant reminder in the mornings to set yourself up, whether it's like a good day or a bad day, just to be filled up with Jesus, because Lord knows we need him, especially in the public school system. With that being said, as a Christian educator in the public school, we want to talk about that coworker relationship as teacher to teacher or teacher with administrators. Some advice we have on that.
Yeah, so when you have teachers or coworkers who are Christians, that's a super awesome relationship to have, and you guys can have Bible studies or have little Devo times in the morning where you guys can just pray, learn more about God, so that way the start of your day, your mind is focused on God, and you're able to learn from your fellow teachers.
For sure, and asking them how they're doing, and you can also give them encouragement, whether it's a little note that I'm thinking about you, praying about you, whatever their situation may be, or allowing them to come into your home. You can also do dinners, Bible studies, as you mentioned before, little stuff like that to encourage them along the way, because sometimes as a teacher teaching in your own classroom, it gets a little lonely. You're like, is any other people out there? And your coworkers should be there, especially as a Christian educators. You guys can pick each other up, or even if you're not a Christian educator, just to encourage other teachers in that way as well. Specifically to talk about teachers that are non-Christian believers like you are, you had a really good idea of thinking about it as missionary work. You want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, so The Bible says we're called to evangelize others and to witness, to share the gospel. And that's a great opportunity to directly share the gospel with your coworkers. So just having those conversations and those relationships building blocks so that you are able to get to know your coworkers better, to the point where they might share something personal with you or something that they're going through, and you can use that opportunity to say, can I pray with you? Or I'm gonna be praying for you. I just want you to know that I'm here for you. If you ever need anything, I'm available to talk, to do something, whatever. And then following through with that and actually going home and consistently praying for them. Because I know sometimes it's easy to say, oh yeah, I'll pray for you, but then do we actually do it? So actually making sure to pray for them, let them know that you're there for them, and then also just asking those direct questions. I believe in God, and I would like to share my beliefs with you. Is that okay? And so developing those conversations that are more so directly related to God to really help your coworkers in the playing field and mission for God.
Definitely, and that could be whether praying for them about school matters or out of school matters. And I think it's something to be said, like if you're like in the coffee room, the break room, the coffee machine or whatever, and someone shares someone with you, maybe taking a quick minute or two to pray at that moment. You have no idea how much that could change a teacher's day or even outcome on whatever situation is going on. So thanks for sharing that. Lastly, we wanted to look at the Christian educator lens in the public schools through teacher and student relationship. As you may have watched the other video, we talked about the fruits of the Spirit, and you want to talk about how that may look as a teacher-student relationship maybe?
Yeah, so again, living out the fruits of the Spirit of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control is super important to live out in the classroom. Because like we were talking about in the previous video, how the teacher is always the role model. And so living out those fruits of the Spirit when you're standing in front of the class teaching and behind the scenes will help your students realize, wow, there's something different about my teacher. She just is different from any other teacher I've had, and I wonder why. And so you're put in that position where you're going to stick out in your students' minds because you're living your life with Jesus as the center and really investing and caring about your students in the long term.
For sure, especially that gentleness part, because not every student is going to be on their best behavior every day. So to see how you interact or calm down or de-escalate a situation can show the student a lot about how Jesus' light is shining through you. Every student may not know Jesus, and we in a public school cannot shove Jesus down their throat. Instead, it's that indiscreet way of letting them know that, like you said, there is something different about you, but also knowing that we are called to be salt and light of the world, and how are we demonstrating that in our classroom. Another thing I want to touch on is the grace, because sometimes a student may not get it right that day, that week, or they have this ongoing behavior problem that they're trying to get through. So extending them grace, because we're not perfect teachers and we make mistakes as well, and it's okay to let your students know that you make mistakes and have that student-teacher relationship. Like, you extend me grace, I will extend you grace, and that continuous back and forth will build that teacher relationship as well. So do you want to talk about being made in God's image and what that may look like for our students?
Yeah, so as a Christian educator, just looking at your students as, children who are made in the image of God. And, God really values all of us because we're all made in the image of God, but especially children, because they're looking up to you, they're learning, they're going to copy us and imitate our behavior. And so really treating them and looking at our students through God's eyes. And I think when you take that perspective, when you were talking about a student who may be constantly disruptive or someone who's constantly talking out of turn, really looking at them, not as that one student who's giving me trouble, but that one student who God has placed in my life so I can show them extra grace and extra love. And that child is equally made in the image of God. And yes, some days it might be tough. Sometimes you might pull your hair out, like, how do I interact with this student? But it's in those moments remembering God's truth and just asking him, God, you've given me these students. Help me to take care of them to the best of my ability, because I know you're with me every step of the way.
For sure. And I like how you mentioned there's a reason they're in our classroom, whether we know it or not. I truly believe that nothing in God's heavenly earth happens on accident. So the fact that they're in your class at that time, at that reason, is for a purpose. And it is up to us to carry out that assignment and that mission work, even though we said with other coworkers, but even with our students as well. So we gave you guys a lot of nuggets in this video as well. And that is all the nuggets we're going to give you today. So thank you so much for coming on my channel. Like, our talks are amazing. Just to let you guys know, we talk all the time in our room, so just to have the camera on is just like another added bonus. But yeah, thank you so much for being on my channel. And that is the end of the first Tecember. So stay tuned to the next videos that are coming later on this week. And I hope you're in the Christmas spirit too, because Christmas is like a few days away. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.